a very rare album, man. You can. So this is the track. For Memory Lane. DJ Premier definitely did a good job of chopping this up. So you jamming over there.
So welcome everybody. This is Peeps and Views. You're here with Proof in the Play, and I'm with
Corey Gravesande.
Yeah, my partner, my bench boy, homie. You know what I mean? I'm glad you can make it. Glad I can make it because I was a little late. But I had 3 questions for you. I got a lot more because you're my friend, so I know I can ask you a couple more questions. One was that it's been a lot about the Black Lives Matter movement, and I just wanted to know if that movement affects you at all in any way, and if it does, how.
Yeah, I'm sure it affects me because I'm black, and every time I leave this house, I step into that car, I sometimes do feel that, my life could be in jeopardy because I'm black and for all the things that I'm seeing in the news recently. I mean, I got a concealed weapon license, and I used to carry my pistol with me all the time, but I kind of the last 6 months or so, I just started being my best interest. I just don't even feel comfortable carrying that thing around because I don't want to give any type of cop or anybody an excuse to put one in me unjustifiably. So Black lives, yeah, they matter, man. All lives matter. All lives matter as far as I'm concerned. I don't think there's ever a day that I don't go by that I don't, I don't listen to a Dilla track. And definitely miss, man, seriously. But this Donuts album was definitely one of the last ones he did before he passed away.
So now I'm gonna switch over to a different topic because it's something that we both. I think you kind of introduced me and kind of introduced my real seriousness about finding a good beat or a good rhyme. Hip hop was real beneficial in my teenage years because it just kind of like gave me a blueprint and knew it was gonna be alright. Just keep grinding, you know what I mean? And it was songs for every occasion. Yeah. But you introduced me to this hip hop thing, you know what I mean? Like, my mom used to give me little hints here and there, but like when it got to really finding some real hard lyrics or who made this beat, you was the man. So I had to ask you your top 5 MCs.
My top 5.
Your top 5, not in no order. No order. See.
All right. It's Nas, Jay, Biggie, Rakim, KRS-One, and I think my 6th man would be Andre 3000.
Ooh. Now, out of all of them, which one really inspired you the most?
I would say Nas. It inspired me the most when he dropped that Illmatic album. I was pretty much I was visiting family in New York, and when that Illmatic album dropped, and the first thing I did when I came back to Florida, came back to school, when school started, was like, hey, and this is the time when the West Coast was, Death Row had just slammed on the top, so the Chronic, Doggy Style was, leading the airway. So I mean, down in Florida, that's what everybody was on. Everybody was on, the West Coast stuff. So my plea about Illmatic fell on deaf ears to people in high school when I was trying to let them know, like, this dude Nas, man, is on something else with the rhymes, with the beats, you know, this is, you know, trying to convince everybody that this was the perfect album.
Switch up to the producing side. You got a lot of albums, and you start to collect albums. I see a lot of albums around here, man. Don't think that it's just 16 of them over here, man. There's a whole lot more behind it. But what influenced you to get kind of, you know, collecting albums and, you know, searching for beats like that?
Well, what really got me into it was just really not really collecting albums, but just listening to hip hop and just trying to read. You know, back in the day, you know, things wasn't digital, so we bought that tape, bought that CD. We got to open up and see the credits and see who produced what, where they sampled from. So my whole thing was, you know, I want to hear the original. You know, I want to hear what, you know. I heard a story of Jay Dilla saying that, you know, he'll put a record on and he'll just let it play, and then something simpler catches ear, he'll run back to the turntable, spin it back, listen to it again, and be like, yeah, this portion right here is what I'm gonna sample. So I just wanted to get that feeling. Like, I want to listen to what inspired these dudes to. Why did they pick this beat to sample from? And digging is just hip hop, man. You know, back in the day, I just never had the resources to do it. So, you know, once I was able to, you know, I just dedicated myself to digging finding records. You know, whether it's hip hop, whether it's jazz, whether it's classic rock. I just wanted that vinyl sound. Listening to music how my parents listened to it.
What's your prized possession as far as albums go that you got in here? Because you got a lot of albums in here, a lot of records. What's your one favorite, or even the top 5? Give me the top 5 albums you got in there. I know you got records that you don't want to ever get rid of. Is it all of them that you don't want to get rid of?
No, it's a couple that I would say my most prized possession would probably be, let me get this out of here. It would definitely be this right here, the Stark Reality, you know, discovers Hoagy Carmichael's music shop. Heard Q-Tip talking about this record one time, so I was like on a search to find it, and just happened to find out that this record is very, very rare, and you just can't walk into any record store and find it. So, you know, I ended up searching for it for maybe a year and a half, and then just end up at a garage sale. It was just right there, you know, $35. I guess, you know, some people don't know what they have, so, you know, once I saw it, I just snatched it up and was just like, here's $40, you know, take it. You know. But this album, man, this album is it's out of this world, man. But it's funky, man. Just a funky album. And what they really did was just take. If you're familiar with Hoagy Carmichael, he's sort of like the Mr. Rogers back in the day, and he has a lot of nursery rhymes and stuff like that. And what they did was kind of revamp it into a, you know, soul funky type deal. So out of everything, if I had to walk away with one record, this will be it right here.
Nice.
Definitely my prized possession.
So I wanted to go back to hip hop a little bit, and you know, the producing side, because you said that, you know, like back in the day, in our day, we had to go walk to that store to get the tape or the CD, you know what I mean? And they always had the credits and where they sampled from and all of that good stuff. But now, what producer really gave you, like, really gets you, like, really moves you, like how he takes something from somewhere and makes it totally different and makes it his own, I guess?
It's really two producers, really, that I mean, I have my top 5, but the producer that really moves me and that I think that can really find a gem, really find that sample is and is my favorite is Q-Tip. And I think, you know, Q-Tip is, I think, one of the illest producers in hip hop, but he's hardly ever mentioned when somebody says, give me your favorite producer in hip hop. It's usually the rundown. It's, you know, Primo, Dre, you know, Pete Rock, but I really think, you know, there's no, I just think Q-Tip is unmatched for, you know, for what he did. And I would say him and you know, Jay Dilla, obviously, you know, and I think, you know, Jay Dilla is definitely a son of Q-Tip, you know, because I think Q-Tip fathered a lot of styles for as far as producing, and, you know, basically, and, you know, I'm always inspired, you know, so basically, you know, what you're looking at right now is basically records that, you know, Jay Dilla sampled from, you know, people, this Bobby Caldwell record, you know, he did for Common, Delight, you know, definitely he sampled for Common on this one. This one, he did a song, Little Brother, for Black Star. Just a, you know, good bunch of stuff, you know, Isley Brothers. This is probably Stakes is High that he did for De La Soul, came from this Jamal Plays Jamal, Ahmad Jamal album. This is definitely a good album. So yeah, just a whole lot of stuff, simple stuff that he used, you know, old Bill Cosby albums. So definitely, I'm inspired by a lot of producers, but the two that's, when you hear this tune, this is probably one of the illest beats I've ever heard. One of the illest, you know, samples that the Hitman took off of this, which is another, you know, good production team of Puff Daddy that I don't think gets a lot of credit. But, you know, Hitman put in a lot of work in the 90s for Puffy. So,
time says that it's over. That time says that it's no more. Oh yes, I love you. Oh yes, I need you. But I don't need to change this. Oh, I got to get my head. I got to leave now. I got to go.
I know you've been through changes. But sometimes it takes changes to build a strong love. And strong love just can't be broken.
That's that Who Shot
I have strong love for you, David.
That Who Shot You?
But if what you're saying is what you feel, then you can have your way.
The old sample.
And I won't.
The best rapping duos.
To me, definitely Outkast is hands down the #1 rap duo. It's definitely my favorite. I think with Outkast,
That's so different, bro.
yeah, they definitely made me. Even though we grew up in, I grew up in the South, but my whole thing was always New York hip hop, you know. But when Cast came out, I could also I could relate to their style because, you know, in Florida, it's the gold teeth, it's the dreads, it's the broken down Cadillacs that they're driving with the bass and got the whole car rattling. So, you know, their whole style is just, that's what we were used to. That's what we went to high school. We went to high school with dudes that looked like that. But their music just took it on a whole nother level. So with Outkast, Goody Mob, you know, the whole Dungeon Family clique, you know, definitely made me appreciate Southern hip hop. But I think the sound has definitely changed. It's more of a Southern sound, you know, trap music. I guess that, that's what they're calling it now. You know, but I think when we were coming up, you can tell who was from where. You know, you knew who your New York rappers were. You knew who your Southern rappers were. You know who your Midwest rappers were. You know who your West Coast rappers were. You know, and I think now is that you listen to the radio. Like for years, I didn't know A$AP Rocky was from New York. I thought he was from the South. And then a dude I worked with was like, nah, he's from Harlem. That's the major difference from when we were growing up in the '90s to what's going on now. And then you got your guys that stick out. You know, Kendrick, J. Cole, stuff like that. You know, some guys that's not on that trap music.
Yeah.
So, definitely.
For me, I think it's just some watered down nursery rhymes, man. For real.
You know, in a lot of cases it is.
Yeah. But they be over some hot beats. Sometimes I be singing it too, and you know.
Yeah, you know, like everything. I mean, I wouldn't say that I dislike it. I think like with everything in life, I like some of it I like and some of it I don't. You know, a lot of it is repetitive, you know, so I mean, but there are one or two that, you know, that catches my ear every now and then, but not too often.
No, they don't study the game enough for me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They just trying to put out an album, trying to hurry up and get some money so they can floss.
That hot single.
Remember the J Electronica?
Yes.
Thomas hooked me up with that like 2-3 years ago.
Yeah.
I've been addicted to Buddy. But he don't, it's like far and far, you can't find no album he ain't had.
Yeah, I don't think he has any album out, you know. I think Jay with Electronica, sometimes he feel like doing music, and when he does, he'll put out some stuff, and then when you don't feel like doing any music, you know, you don't hear from him, you know. But it's a funny thing you mentioned Thomas, man, because and I really hope that he sees this, is to know the influence that he had on me, because you know, I was, you know, definitely, I was born in New York, but you know, left New York when I was about 8 years old and moved down to Florida. So I was always on the New York music, New York hip hop. So I really you know, middle school I didn't have anybody to relate to, because nobody just wasn't digging New York hip hop like that. But once I got to high school, it was, you know, pretty much the same thing, until one day at lunchtime on the bench, this guy, you know, had some headphones on. I think he had the Black Moon tape, you know, Into the Stage, and he had a Source magazine with him, and I think that was the Source, the one with Luke on the cover, when he was at the golf court or whatever.
The golf course, yeah, I remember
golf
that.
course, yeah, with some females in the background, and I just, you know, went over there, sat down, and you know, at that time I think I had heard Who Got the Props, and it was insane, it was crazy, and I didn't know Thomas, he didn't know me, and I just asked him, hey, you know, can I listen to that? And he gave me his Walkman, and the whole, you know, through lunch, I was listening to Black Moon. So I'm like, I finally found somebody that likes the same type of music as me. And with Thomas, you know, he put me on to the Source magazine, you know, put me on to reading articles, put me on to the mic ratings. I was so high back in the day, you know. So, you know, definitely Thomas was a major influence, and musically for me as well.
But I appreciate y'all. So I got one more question, right? And then, you know, I want to see that record spin one time. So, and you know, because you're married and stuff, but what are some of the difficulties? Because brothers have these difficulties sometimes. What's the difficulties in like holding on to a relationship or just building in that relationship? What's the toughest thing that you come across?
Well, for me, I would probably say communication. I think it's the most difficult thing, you know, because I think even though you could be married for, I mean, I think you're always learning each other, and you're always finding something new, you know. But I think communication's got to be open. I think when communication is there, it's great, but you know, but it's definitely a downfall, and me, that's probably, I'm not the best communicator, because I really don't want to talk, feel like talking, and that kind of, you know, You know, and the one thing my wife wants me to do is open up. And I'm like, you know, basically I'm like, you know, this is me, you know, take it or leave it. So, I mean, it's definitely some barriers. And I would say communication is definitely top on my list.
Nice.
Or things that need to change or get better. Definitely.
I appreciate you. If you have anything else that you want to say or get off your chest, this is the time. Normally you don't.
No, I'm good, man. All right, hey, this is Corey, and you're watching Peeps and Views.